Assalamualaikum everyone. Today's topic is about the Riba madness as described in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 275. We are still looking at the issue of leverage funding and the crisis in the American banks. We know very well that the latest victims is PacWest Bank, that may go under, but let's see. But overall, what we have seen is that the consumption of riba or the use of riba in banking, whether we are dealing with the depositors who consume riba by placing their money with the bank, where they will be guaranteed a fixed income, which is riba, as well as the full redemption of their deposit. And the consumption of riba is also affecting the bank, who will make profit from the riba charge on the loan they make to the consumer. So either side, the consumer, from either side, we have the depositors who consume riba, and the bank who is also consume riba when they make loan. The depositor consume riba when they make placement with the bank with interest, and the bank will consume riba when they make loans with interest. So in the Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 275, the Quran says, those who consume riba will not stand other than the one whom the devil has struck with madness. So these are the people whom the Quran describes as people who are struck with madness when they are in the state of consuming riba. And they are in a state of madness and craziness, and in that sense that they are not sane, they are not rational, they are mad, and this is what the devil have turned them into when they are submerged in the consumption of riba in their respective business, whether we are dealing with the banking business or we are dealing with bond issuance in the capital market. Whoever is embracing the riba system, the Quran has described them as the one whom the devil has struck with madness. So for example, during the 10 years of low interest rate in America, right after the September 9/11, and we can see that during this low interest rate regime, the US bank were overbuying government bonds, because as interest rate falls down, the price of bond will go up, and the bond investor can sell the bond with capital gain. So this is how, as interest rate falls over the years, then the bank keep on buying government bond, not knowing that after this long years of low interest rate, the U.S. government were attacked by high inflation, and that inflation would force the Feds to increase the interest rate in order to contain the inflation. But this backfire when the price of bond have come down as interest rate goes up. And we can see what has happened to the regional bank in the US when they were not able to sell their bonds, or they were selling their bond at a loss, right? So this frenzy of buying bonds before the inflation, this is madness basically, because they are not thinking about what will happen next if interest rate goes up. And then we have share buyback by corporation using the cheap loan, loans, where the charges are nearly 0%, and therefore this big corporation will borrow, in a huge amount in order to do the share buyback, in order to get more control over their company. But this can also backfire later on when they are supposed to service their loan, and this time when the rates have gone up, so they have to service their loans at higher cost of fund. So this can become another, problem of loan default as the Feds keep on increasing the interest rate. And then we have number 2, panic withdrawals of multi-billion Riba deposit. We have seen this happening in Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, First Republic, PacWest, and so on, that people were crazy that, they were withdrawing their money in the billions over days because they were afraid that this money will not be redeemed by the bank because, as we know, the high inflation in the US have caused the company to use more money to sustain their business. So they were withdrawing their money, for that purposes. But then the bank do not have enough liquidity to pay for the withdrawals, and they try to sell off their bonds to pay off for this deposit outflow. But they make losses from the bond sale, so this caused more panic to the depositors, and they basically withdraw their money in droves. So this is sheer madness because people are panicking and they are not using their brain, and that causes this massive deposit outflow, leading to bankruptcies of Silicon Valley and Signature Bank, First Republic, and so on. This is sheer madness. So this is like, the one whom the devil has struck with madness. And then the dumping of the regional banking stock. This is again, as Silicon Bank and Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic, Silicon Valley get into trouble. So the rest of the regional bank, who are basically modeled based on this portfolio, where they have lots of billions of deposit, and most of the asset were invested in bonds like any other banks, and this would mean more trouble to the many regional banks, and this is why we can see a drop in the regional banking stock all over the American economy. This is madness because, we are looking at just a small bank, a few banks getting into trouble, but then the rest of the bank get into panic, and we see the dumping of the regional banking stock. This is madness, like what the Quran has described. And then number 4, the Feds are using interest rate to control economic activity. So in order to control inflation, the Feds raises interest rate. In order to stimulate the economy, the Feds reduces interest rate, to almost 0%. That causes this, bubbles in the stock market, in the property market, in the bond market. And right now, as inflation has gone up, the Feds are desperately trying to contain inflation, or to reduce inflation, from 9% to 2% by raising interest rate. And, that excessive government intervention, to control inflation, that may not be caused by monetary circumstances. It can be caused by disruption in the supply chain, but yet, the Feds are using monetary policy to control inflation. So this excessive government intervention that can eventually destroy the economy is pure madness. This is what the Quran has been describing in the Surah Al-Baqarah. So we should take lesson from the Quran and making sure that the Islamic Bank will not be, doing their business on the basis of the conventional banking model of leverage funding, because at the end of the day it will bring the Islamic Bank into the same problem and issues faced by conventional banking. So we do not want to see that happening to Islamic Bank, and we do hope that this leverage funding can be neutralized by the use of investment funding to further increase or improve or enhance the operation of Islamic banking. So please don't forget to comment and to subscribe. I will see you again. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Thank you.